Welcome to the Storyverse podcast. I'm Helen Farmer, and this is where we explore how stories and books and imagination help children thrive and connect and grow. Our guest today is Adam Griffin, best known as Adam the OT. He is the CEO and medical director of Hakini, and we're going to be talking about confidence and ultimately about play. What role do stories have in helping our children become the best version of themselves? How do they work as a tool when there might be challenging circumstances? Adam really helps children build confidence and resilience and problem-solving skills through action and, of course, imagination too. So we're going to be talking about unlocking growth, so expect some top tips. You're also a dad, Adam, which I think is really, really crucial as well. Tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate about working with kids in particular. Where did it begin for you?
I think, honestly, I'm very lucky to have a job where being kind of a big kid in itself is kind of a boon. It's like an additional master's if you never quite grew up yourself. So I'm blessed that I love my job. So I found my niche ideally. It suits my personality, but it also suits my kind of natural curiosity. And this is something that I bring to the table very naturally, but something the kids kind of connect with really well. I don't think I'm an exceptional therapist in lots of ways, but something I'm really, I think, very good at is getting kids to connect with things that feel like fun, but actually demonstrably hard work and really developing skills that are challenging, but the kids really get into it. And this is why every day at my job is hugely interesting and very rewarding for me.
And presumably every day is different as well. There will be some overarching themes and common challenges. What are some of the things that families are coming to you with right now, and what are you noticing?
Yeah, there's a universal element too about skill development and about things that, if you imagine what occupational therapy is, I'm going to go to my usual little spiel about it, that can the kid do the things he need and want to do.
Such as,
can the child hold a pencil, make a friend, listen to the teacher, wipe their bum. All of these things that are the meat and potatoes of childhood, is there anything holding them back from realizing their natural kind of potential? A child is a machine made for learning and development right out of the box, but if there's something, whether it's sensory issues or motor skills or anxiety or anything that's holding them back, it's a barrier to their development, then OT can help them overcome that.
You talk about confidence being built by action. Why is sometimes doing hard things important to a child's growth?
I'd say it's not only just important, it's essential. So people I have this conversation all the time about developing confidence for kids. And there's lots of curriculums and there's lots of programs that use similar words and affirmations. And they feel like theoretically, this is the child will go through the motions to develop confidence. My big thing is confidence. It doesn't occur in a vacuum. It's a response to being successful, doing things that you perceive as being challenged. You're challenging.
And that can be a one-off thing, or it can be sustained. I did it last time, so I've got the confidence to do it again. And you build and build and build.
Imagine, I do it like going to the gym. Like you go to the gym and have a beast of a session with your personal trainer. That's not going to get you to your ultimate goal over 8 weeks, no matter how hard that workout is. It's something you turn up for all time. But the difference is, developing confidence doesn't have to be a hardship. Yeah, they're challenging things, but challenging things don't mean they have to be things a child doesn't look forward to. I can have kids who have no confidence, who are actively fearful of being put in a position where they feel like they're not able to do this thing.
What kind of thing would that, what have you helped kids with in that respect? Because I think a lot of adults feel like that way. We don't want to put ourselves in unfamiliar or scary situations, and this is us as grown-ups. So what about little ones? What are some things that might be fearful of?
I'll tell you an example, actually, a good, permit me a little second to kind of explore this one, because it's a bit of insight into my life sometimes, because I remember going to a yoga class years ago with my wife, who'd been doing yoga for a while, and was mastering all these moves and doing downward crow and upwards
all the animals.
Zeppelin, whatever else the moves were. But there I am, thinking I'm a strong guy, trained with weights for a long time, but I'm shaking and sweating, and everyone else is head to toe in Lululemon and breezing through these things, and I'm absolutely in pieces. Humbled to a massive extent. But then my typical guy Irish male ego was like, well, I'm not doing this. There's something like, I'm going back to the weights room. That's where I feel best. But I realized, if I just left feeling like this is terrible, I don't understand how to get better and why everyone else is better than me, am I going to want to go back to the yoga class? But then we were lucky. We had a lovely yoga teacher who came over and said, fantastic, Adam, you're doing well here, just move your weight over there. So she showed me actively what I can do differently and then spoke to me at the end to make sure I had a good experience. And I realized, oh, I'm starting here. These guys are doing it longer. If you imagine, take that in microcosm into a therapy session. So I'll have a kid for whom English is a challenge. I ask them questions about the Roman Empire. They'll talk my ears off all day, but if you ask them to write it down, maybe they didn't hear what the teacher was talking about when they were explaining. Then when they go to write, their pencil grip isn't fantastic. They find it difficult and laborious to actually get the information out of their head and onto their page. So they disconnect, and they also cognitively devalue the task. Like, it doesn't feel good. It's like wearing an itchy sweater. That cognitive distance, like, I don't want to do this anyway. Push it off. Avoid. Whereas if I can show them how to develop a little bit of fluency, how to organize their thoughts, I can actually work with a teacher to make sure they got his engagement, so he understood what the task was at the beginning, and he's off to the races immediately. It can be fantastic. Can I give you one more? So another one. I should have said this one first because it's maybe the perfect example. I have this boast that I can teach any kid to tie their shoes in a session. One session. That's right, I said it.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to send you my 8-year-old, Adam.
Yeah, you go. But the issue is not the motor skills of tying shoes. It's demanding bilateral integration, all these things. The issue is I have a lot of kids who come in and they've told themselves I can't tie my laces. So they put it off. And when they try, it gets confused and it just falls apart. And then they're usually, when this task is demanded of them, it's 8:30 in the morning and mom's going, where's your other shoe? We're late already. No fun at all. But if I can show them in my sneaky OT way how to tie their laces, I had a boy a couple of weeks ago who self-scripted, I can't do this, Adam, I'll show you, blah, blah, blah. And I said, if you can do this, you pick the next task. Or if you can't do this, I'll let you pick every other task we do today. So then he was saying, as he was going through the motion, saying, it won't work. Oh my goodness, it worked. He instantly kicked his shoe off across the room, grabbed it, and ran out to reception to show his mom. Oh. So this thing that he perceived as difficult, he couldn't figure out how to be successful. I made it fun and interesting, accessible, and then clear, and he was off. And then the reason he wanted to do it is so beautiful, because he really liked the set of Lionel Messi football boots, but needed to tie the laces. So
there was an incentive there as well.
There's OT in microcosm.
I love talking about play, and we're going to talk about structured play and how we as parents can also be a bit more comfortable with play. Sure. But we are, of course, talking books today as well. And I'm curious from your point of view as an occupational therapist, how books and storytelling, and I guess role play as well, can really help children through big challenges and emotions. What have you seen?
Yeah, I think I'm a natural sort of, because I love stories myself, always have since I was tiny. So my dad was an expert bedtime storyteller.
Did he do the voices?
He did the voices, yeah. But so I love doing that as well. I like stories as a way. It's just the most interesting thing for me. And then for the kids I work with, how I'll apply it in practice, almost all of my games, so you'll see I have games that they're freely available online, and even a little Play-Doh activity, there's a story behind what you make. Brushing teeth, there's a story about a shark, you brush the teeth. So the stories as a way to kind of have an easy start point, make it novel, interesting, engaging, and keep motivation through the hard bits. Where it's more, that's interesting and all the rest, where it's actually very vital and gets you through a very specific impasse is, I'll have some kids working with challenging situations that they don't want to reflect upon. Maybe it's social skills or friendship skills. Maybe they keep losing their cool in challenging social situations. And this is played out again and again and again. When they're asked to reflect on this, it feels like they're being interrogated. They shut down, arms crossed, don't want to talk about it. The cognitive dissonance is too much. But if I can unpack this in something like a storybook or a role play or with teddy bears, there's some really nice curriculums as well and actual storybooks to talk about some of these subjects. It takes the emotional heat out of it. It directs that interrogation lamp away somewhere else. They can reflect on it in someone else's environment, especially, now it still can't be, using my kids' words, it can't be lame. It has to be interesting and engaging and something they can connect with, and gives them an ability to kind of reflect and interact with that story instead. Once they understand the nuts and bolts of it, then they can begin to generalize it into their own life as well.
Let's talk play. As you said, you are a big playful guy, and your YouTube and Instagram is testament to this. Why do you think physical play, and I know you work with what you call a lot of hard chargers, kids that really need that, whether it's a step count or physicality, obstacle courses, climbing challenges. Why is play and physical play in particular such a powerful tool in building resilience, confidence, and what have you seen in practice?
Yeah, it's everything. So if you imagine, it's kind of like the natural language of childhood is play. If you the thing I say for parents, dads especially, when they want to encourage their child to play or how to play with their child, if you want to play, stay out of their way. So get out of their way and kind of arrange the environment and let the child make decisions, let the child kind of take over and direct the play experience. If you put a group of kids together and give them a cardboard box, watch magic about to take place. So it's something that you sort of fall into very naturally. I used this quote very recently, actually, and someone asked me about grown-ups forgetting how to play.
Well, I think it's forgetting, and I think we become really self-conscious.
Yeah, Helen, I thought you were going to steal my quote there. I was going to freak out in a second. It's the kind of famous quotation that's kind of well-trodden, but it's very good to remember for a lot of my parents, is you don't stop playing because you get old because you stop playing.
It's true.
And it's all too easy to just fall into that cycle, and you're too busy. There's other things, you haven't done it in years. I tell my dads, tell me your favorite toy when you were a kid in front of their kid. And you see them light up and start telling me about like Subbuteo sets and all sorts of things. You're like, man, exactly. So imagine if someone asked you to play Subbuteo. If your dad asked you, teach him about Subbuteo and how to play and the rules, do that with your kid. And I don't care if they're into Pokemon or Fortnite or any of these other things. If it's interesting and a passion to them, it should be a passion to you as a parent as well. So play isn't difficult. It's the most natural thing in the world, but it's arranging situations for play to occur. It's not about buying an expensive Lego set and then making it from step 1 to step 1,000. Mm-hmm. I'm making one right now.
And then never touching it.
Exactly.
What are you currently working on?
I'm working on my daughter's Lego Friends set, which is really fun.
We've got an apartment set we're working on. It's taking forever.
Okay, I've got a zip line, which is very cool. But anyway, not the Lego podcast, but again, as a dad, I have to kind of sit on my hands a little bit and realize I see with the next part, I'm having a lot of fun, but make sure, no, I'm a play partner. This is Mia. This is the Mia show. So I want to be a good partner in their play experience.
It's really hard because I think a lot of people think of play being things like, you're gonna dress me up as a princess and I'm gonna sit and have a tea party. But play takes so many different forms. It really does. And I think whether that is making art together or crafting or all these different things, but it is finding that thing that you feel comfortable, and also letting our kids teach us sometimes. I find really powerful. That they find that really confidence building to be like, I can't believe mum doesn't know how to do this, and then they have their moment of shining.
If you wanna make me mad, blood red mad, then there's a few selections of words that'll guarantee it. So when I hear, God bless him, it's from the dads usually, saying he's not playing right, he's playing wrong. It's like, this is an oxymoron. There's no such thing as playing wrong. Even if he's holding up the toy cars and spinning the wheels, and this is what he's into, then you'll find a way to get into access his world through that play experience. But that play is everything.
What are some of what you call dragons and villains that you're seeing kids facing today? And do you think stories have got the power to help kids with those? Oh, yeah.
So the dragons and villains thing, I use that as a kind of metaphor about overcoming difficulty. Because one of the things I hear, oh my goodness, I'm talking a lot of bad things about the dads today. But a lot of the dads who work with me, they're in Dubai and they're like, well, back in my day, we never had all this and I have to work and he doesn't know he's born and oh, goodness gracious me. But they think the kids have nothing to overcome. They think they have it too easy. Okay. And the world is nerfed. They don't have any of these dragons or villains. So what I mean by dragons or villains is they have challenges that they overcome, whether it's the dragon of the maths exam that's coming up in 2 weeks, or going to next week's karate class because they're super, super anxious and cried in the car for 20 minutes before going on last week. So it's these challenges that you can't develop a little hero without having, if you imagine Batman, think of all Batman's villains. He's not Batman if he doesn't have those guys. They're a very important part to his story. When I get the kids to kind of look at it that way, and every day of the week, over at Hickey. It was for me for the last 13 years, but now I'm doing less hands-on clinical work, but I see this amazing team that we have there, and we see we're making little heroes every day, but little heroes need really robust little villains or big dragons that they can overcome. And then when they realize, okay, the big scary dragon, at the beginning of any hero's journey, they have the difficulty, they feel small, they feel not up to the task ahead of them. There's a reason in the second act you have the same kind of montage scene with the development. We have Rocky montages in OT and speech therapy sessions and psychology every day of the week where these kids are developing the tools. I'll use gamification language, so they're upskilling. They're getting the armor and getting the weapons they need to best the challenges ahead of them, whatever they may be. And then they overcome that challenge. And when they see it like that, they realize, oh, it's not something to shy away from. Bilbo didn't stay in the Shire at the beginning of the movie. You have to get out there, but then realize, no, I am capable to do these things.
You mentioned that asking kids, what would your hero do here, is really powerful. How does that question help children, do you think, and help them develop their inner compass?
Yeah, so again, it's the same hero thing that, if you imagine, I like every kid to think of they're in their own movie. So they're the superstar, they're the hero in their own movie. So what would the hero do right now? And it's not intended to be, now pull your socks up, mister. Now, when they get to that point, it's more, they have the level of self-belief, and it enables them to kind of step outside themselves a little bit, get some perspective in the situation where it's not, the temptation is to kind of close their eyes, cover their ears and go, no, 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 no. Like pull the covers over their head emotionally, essentially. Whereas realize, no, this is what I will do. And when they think about what the hero would do, then what am I going to do and how am I going to get there? It's not blind self-belief, because there's challenges some of my kids face and they're really significant. And some of the adults in their lives may look at this and think, what's the big deal? For this kid, this is a massive deal. The emotional weight of this is as big as this massive corporate presentation you're worried about next week, Dad. For this kid, this social situation where the friend that they had a little bit of an argument with last week, it has massive bearing. It's the gravity of that situation is crushing. And then thinking, take a deep breath, be able to unpack it a little bit, talk to someone, have the language to explore that and think, okay, what would the hero do right now? I'm going to be the hero, and then do that. And even if it doesn't go well, it's just part of the story. A line I use all the time with the kids is, it'll all be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end.
We're all about making children the hero of their own stories through, personalised, really often very specific challenges, but also celebrations and really giving a family a tool with a personalised book. And I wondered maybe how you could speak to how that might be useful in a therapeutic setting. And when you think about whether it's an issue or a specific child, where do you think Storyverse could potentially help families in that way?
Oh, I think the more you told me about it, the more I can almost see it like a little mind map going out on my head and see the utility of it. It's something that I've almost tried to engineer myself and cobble together sometimes. And the way I see it is it makes these issues relatable to the child. It's all about relatability, and it speaks to them and their personal story and how they see themselves to be. So you could have situations where the child is struggling in school with whether it's attentional difficulties or motor skills or anxiety, and they see themselves in the story, but not only themselves, but also the nuances of their personal context. So we have their dog is there, and their grandpa who's also there, and the teacher that they like, and anything like this where they can map it out. And it's how to explore consequences, explore situations, explore context in a way that is accessible but doesn't have the emotional pressure, doesn't have like the high stakes that doing it in real life. Because one of the things a lot of my kids, I say to parents too, you need these challenging social situations because you need to kind of stress test the lessons you're learning. But in doing that, it means you've got to put yourself in the fire again and again. This is a way to almost explore that before you get into the fire in a really, really cool manner, in a manner that's interesting looking and entertaining and sweet, and can be done when you're tucked up under your covers with your mom before you go to bed at night in the most supportive emotional environment, and then reflected upon again and again. So it kind of gets you ready what you need to do.
Like
I
a
love
dummy
it.
run.
Yeah, I love it.
It's interesting because it could be specific to a child, and as you say, whether it's a diagnosis or a situation, or maybe it's about creating a book about another character or another situation that does create a bit of distance and makes it more abstract so that child doesn't feel like
sure.
it is about them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think you could have that emotional distance so they can see a similar situation to themselves. I've done this before. If you imagine the way I would do it traditionally in storytelling I didn't have the blessing of the book to help me, but I've done it with characters. I did it previously last week. This is just came because the kid likes frogs. So he was a frog in this narrative. So it was a frog who has trouble. He was playing, don't ask me how frogs play football, but he was. And he had an argument with another frog and kicked him, I think, off the pond or something. I can't remember now, but it was two frogs. That's what happened. But because we did it in a silly way with frogs, we were able to get the lessons out of the thing, again, without the emotional weight and tension involved.
Lastly, if every child could take one thing from the work you do, or even one family can take something from the work you do, what would you want it to be?
I have this term I use called Fun First, which I've used it so often now. I think it's actually people don't realize how powerful it is. It doesn't just mean make things hilarious and interesting or whatever. It just means you start with the emotional connection. You start with why this thing should matter to the kid, and then go from there. If any therapist is working with a child, they have to make that emotional engagement. In the clinic in Hakini, we have this big quotation in the reception area that says, "Healing begins with connection." You could replace the word healing with learning, or parenting, or anything, that you need that little connection. You need to be able to emotionally reach the young person, and then this enables you to get to their level and help them along their journey.
Thank you so much for your time today.
My
I
pleasure.
can't wait to see what story you're going to create with Storyverse, because we've had footballing frogs, we've had dragons and villains. But Adam Griffin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today on the Storyverse podcast. More guests, more topics, more help, more advice, and of course, more storytelling coming your way.